Alright then, I would like to share a video with you which I think perfectly clearly demonstrates one of the fundamental problems that the EU currently has to deal with and which it is not dealing with. So let's have a look. Alright, so what do we see here? Well, this was, by the way, Italy. This is probably not a surprise because there's all the Italian flags and stuff and all, and the Italian chanting. This was Italy during the elections for the Italian elections, which were won by Giorgia Meloni and Fratelli d'Italia, the Brothers of Italy. Now, what do we see here? So specifically, well, we see here a couple of Italian protesters who are scaling an EU office and taking down that flag, tearing it down the flag, and throwing it down the balcony where it's been hanging from, and trampling it and spitting on it and doing all sorts of shit with it and defiling it and so on and so forth. Now, this, I think, is such a clear indication, such a clear indicator what is wrong with the EU right now. Is that the fact is that these people, these Italians, they looked at that flag. They looked at that flag and they hated it. They hate it. They saw it, and they saw it as a symbol of oppression, of bureaucracy, or of hypocrisy, of corruption, everything that is wrong with Europe today. That is what they saw. These people were not proud to be Europeans. These people were not proud, did not look at that flag and thought, the EU, that's something we can be proud of. No. They looked at that flag and they saw a symbol of something that is attacking their Italian identity and their Italian independence. That is what they saw, and that is why they climbed up that ladder and climbed up that balcony and tore down that flag and stepped on it and walked over it and defiled it and so on and so forth. That is that. And this is what we see. And that is a problem, though, because you have to ask yourself, why the hell do we, as Europeans, have to choose between either being our nation, our country, our culture, and European? Why do we have to choose? Why do we feel that we need to have to choose between being Dutch or Belgian or Polish or Italian in this case, or Greek or Swedish or whatever, and European at the same time? Why do we have to do this? This is a problem, because we should be able to be comfortable enough to look at our own flag, at the Dutch flag or Italian flag in this case, or Belgian flag or Romanian flag, and see it hanging next to the European flag and think, all right, then that's good. Yeah, cool, because it is both a symbol. They are both symbols of our identity as Europeans. We have our national identity and our European identity, and those two, they click together, they mesh together. They are the same thing. They are different aspects of our national identity. That is where we should be right now, where we can be proud of being European and proud of being our own country, our own nation, our own national ethnic identity. At the same time, we can be part of our own locality, our own local society, our own language, and at the same time be part of a broader, bigger European community and communality where we can live together and strive together for greater things. That would be the ideal solution. That's basically what the EU is supposed to be about, isn't it? But clearly it isn't. Clearly it isn't. Not in reality. We see that here. We see with these Italians right there. who feel the need to tear down the European flag and stomp all over it, that they do not feel European, they are not proud of being European, they look at that flag and say, no, we don't want that. And that is a problem, because it shows that a lot of Europeans right now, who do not feel comfortable with the EU, who do not like the EU, who don't care about the EU either way, whatever way, who don't really think about European cooperation and European unity and European unification and so on and so forth, and everything that comes with that, and all the problems that Europe has to struggle with and how to fix that and solve that. No, they just see corruption and bureaucracy, and of course those are the problems. There is no European spirit, there's no European feeling amongst the most Europeans, and that is a problem, because only by working together, only by cooperating, only by some kind of European unity can we actually make Europe independent and independent from foreign influences, especially the US, who still basically rule Europe and who basically write the law in Europe. And basically when the US says do this, then all European politicians everywhere say yes sir, how high, so on and so forth. And the same goes for China, which is completely our economic overlord. Let's be honest about this. Europe is economically dependent on China. We are their market. They sell us their crap. They buy Europe. As for instance, the way they bought the port of Hamburg, the way they bought the port of Piraeus and in Greece, and so on and so forth. We are a target for these people, and the only way to reclaim that European independence, to reclaim that European autonomy, is by working together. But we cannot work together if ordinary Europeans on the ground feel that they have nothing to gain from the EU. That's the problem. The EU right now doesn't really have any popular support. It doesn't really, not where it counts, not when it matters. No. The EU right now, it's a top-down approach. It's a top-down elitist regime where the European Commission rules and everybody just has to do as they are told. Yeah, but that doesn't work. And that is why these Italians felt the need to climb up that ladder and climb up that balcony and tear down that flag. And until we can actually gain the faith and trust of ordinary Europeans to build some kind of better cooperative Europe, nothing ever will get better, nothing ever will change, and we will continue to be economically and militarily and culturally dominated by the US and China and Russia. So what are we going to do about this? Are we going to do something about this, or are we just going to do the age-old EU tactic, which is sit back, make oodles of money in our private bank accounts, and just watch this whole shit disintegrate in front of our eyes? Frankly, I'm not a fan of that, and I'm not in favor of that. I think we should actually do something about this shit, and actually try to fix the EU into something that actually works. And we can do like a European community again, a European cooperative confederation or something like that, where we take away, we extract the entire political unification aspect of the EU, and we just go back to basics, and we just say, this is about economy and about being basically building wealth and development in Europe. Because don't forget, there's still lots of poor Europeans who need a hand. And we just go back to making sure that wars don't happen and so on, and building peace and building prosperity and building wealth and building all sort of good things, and just forget about the whole political unification bit and just do European community, do European confederation, something like that. That's one solution. The other solution, of course, is where we go the European, well, let's call it unification route, where we actually have united Europe, within reason, of course, because Europe is not the US, Europe is not Russia, where we basically are one united, unitary country with one language, one culture, one whatever, No, we're not that. We'll never be that. We'll always have our cultural differences, and those are important. But at the same time, we can have a united Europe. But of course, that also means that we need to have a united European democracy where we can actually vote for people, like the president of the European Commission. Or let's just have a European president then, in that case, where we can actually just vote as European citizens for a European president who actually represents people. Something like that. Those are different options, and we can actually do that shit. We can do that shit, but right now it's not being done. It's not being done because the real problems are not being addressed in Europe. The real problems are not being fixed in the EU. And as long as those problems are not being fixed, hey, Europe, ordinary Europeans, like these Italians, will have no reason to feel any other way about the EU. No reason. Why support a flag that just stands for corruption and hypocrisy? Why? Give me one reason. I can't think of any. So let's try and fix this shit. Let's try and fix the EU if we can. Let's try and figure it out. And of course, to figure it out, I need to know what you think about this as well. I need to know it. I mean, listen, I can offer the solutions here, but the whole point about a democracy is not that you have one guy who just says how it is. No. And if we believe in Europe, and if we believe in the European Union, then hell, we need to also believe in democracy and just debating shit and having debates about stuff and actually talking about stuff and actually deciding about where we want to go, what course we want to take, and also how we can defend the rights of people that live here, and so on and so forth. All those interesting and important stuff we actually need to debate it, which is not going on right now. So please let me know what you think. That's important, and I look forward to your input. I look forward to your thoughts. All right, thank you very much, and see you next time.